What are we going to talk about tonight? All right. We're going to be talking about what you do when nobody is paying attention to your content. You're out there right now. You're trying to put content out there, man. You're trying to get people interested in what you got going on. Everybody's ignoring you. Nobody cares, and it's super frustrating. I was talking to a friend of mine just recently, and they were having this exact problem. Nobody cares about what I'm doing, Cam. It's super frustrating. I hate the internet. I get it. I get it, man. That's not just my buddy. That's a lot of people out there who are feeling that way. So what I'm hoping to do with this live stream tonight is to help you a little bit in that regard. I'm going to give you 5 things, all right, that can help you get people noticing you a little bit more, get your content to where it's not being ignored a little bit more. That's our goal tonight. Now, before I get into this, I want to remind everybody I'm Cam from Epic Conversions, okay? So epicconversions.com, you can sign up for my email list. If you like this content that I'm putting out right now, you probably want to sign up for my email list. You probably belong on my email list. So you get over there. It's basically the same kind of stuff, except, in email form. And I, offer you things sometimes that I think are really cool. Like right now, I'm promoting, a friend of mine, Charles Harper. He is in my opinion, he's a legendary PLR seller, and he's been running this thing called the PLR show for a long time, and I see he's retiring it. So, he's offering like 178 like PLR, courses. These are video assets, unbranded, really, really cool. So I decided I wanted to promote that for about 4 days. So that's what I'm doing on my email list. So if you're interested in something like that and you want to see how I promote it, just sign up. Just go to epicconversions.com and sign up for my list, and you can watch me work because that's what I'm doing. So cool. What else? Oh, if you like these live streams, if you enjoy this live stream content, man, I try to do these 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, right here on Substack. Okay. So what you want to do, if you like these live streams, you want to subscribe to my Substack. Just find me on Substack, Cam from epicconversions.substack.com. Find me over there, subscribe, and if you can't find me, guess what? I probably can't help you because it's life is way harder than that. Finding me on Substack. Come on now, you can find me. Cam from epicconversions.substack.com. Get after it. You can find me. Come on now. Anyways, that's cool. So I appreciate your subscription. I appreciate your attention. Don't hesitate to ask me questions if you have questions for me. What are we talking about tonight? Like I said, man, we're going to be talking about how do you handle it when no one's paying attention to your content. We're going to be talking about, how to get people to pay a little bit more attention because look, it is frustrating when you feel like you're putting a lot of effort and energy and time into this content. Nobody's caring about it. Nobody's watching it. You feel like you're just sending it off into the vacuum of space, never to be heard from again. And it never gets watched by anybody. You're just like wasting your time. That is the feeling. That is how you feel. But it's not the whole truth. It is not the whole truth. Now, obviously, you can look at your stats and you can see, oh, wow, nobody saw that content that I spent 40 minutes on. Awesome. That's great. And then day after day after day, week after week after week, if you let it, it can start to beat you down, right? But here's the thing. When you work online, when you are running your own business, you really, 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 truly have to get your emotions under control. Okay. That's the first thing. And that's not one of my 5 things, but before we get into these 5 things, it's important to remember the emotions have to stay out of your business because if you let them in your business, they're going to wreck your business. Right. And I hear people saying to me, I say this to people a lot of times and they say, oh, Cam, you act like emotions are a bad thing or something. Emotions are a good thing. Well, look, I'm not saying emotions are a bad thing. Okay. I'm not saying that. I've been happy plenty of times. I've been excited plenty of times. I don't think emotions are a bad thing. I think emotions are a bad thing when they run the situation. I don't think you can let emotions run the situation and like they don't belong in your business. Like the emotions don't belong in your business. emotions, that's like a humanity thing, like they belong in your life, like we all want to be happy, we all want to be excited. We all enjoy being curious about things and being captivated by things. We get excited. We all enjoy those kinds of emotions and stuff. And we all experience emotions. But what I'm saying is, like, if you worked at McDonald's, right? Or if you worked at like a factory down the road or something, would you bring your emotions to work with you? Or would you just try to get in and get your job done and get out? I think that most of you guys out there understand where I'm coming from, and you've probably experienced this before, where you go to work, you clock in, you handle your business for 8 hours or 12 hours, whatever kind of shift you work. Emotions don't come into the picture very much. You handle your business and then you go home. Like, so in that respect, I think, like, working got it right, like, working for other people got it right, you weren't under any illusion that, like, you were supposed to, like, let all these emotions into the picture when you were working for somebody else. But for some reason, when we work for ourselves and we're the boss, and it's not our fault, right? It's not our fault because we got to make all these decisions as the boss. We got to decide what happens. We don't get the luxury of just going to work and just doing what we're told. It's easy to, like, take all the emotions out of it when someone's just telling you what to do. Like, the whole path has been set out before you. But when you're the boss and you got to figure out what the path is, and you could make mistakes and you could mess up and you'd have to go back and change things because they're not working out right. Well, now that's a whole nother level of pressure, right? So it's easier to let your emotions get the best of you sometimes. And what I'm telling you is you can't do that. You got to keep the emotions out of it. And it's even harder still, I think, when you're on the internet, because the internet's a pressure cooker for emotion. I mean, think about the internet, man. It's not a lot of pragmatism on the internet, right? There's just not, man. Like, the whole internet is based off of attention getting, right? Well, how do you get people's attention? Emotion. You invoke emotion. That's how you get people's attention, right? So what do you see all over the internet? You see things that make you emotional, like they make you really curious, or they make you, like, really captivated, or they make you really mad, or they make you really, like, excited to see what something's about. All these things on the internet are designed to invoke emotion, right? So if you work online and you're trying to work online, it can be an emotional place. So again, I just tell you, and I don't tell you this to mock anybody, and I don't tell you this because I say it's easy. I tell you this because I think it's critical. No, it's not easy. And no, I'm not mocking anyone. But yes, you must be the assassin. You must take the emotions out of it. You must be the cold blooded, logical business guy or girl. That's how it's got to be. In my experience, if you want to be, sustainably successful, the emotions have to come out of it. Sometimes you're going to fail. Sometimes you're going to succeed. Sometimes you're going to make mistakes, and you gotta get back up on the horse. In fact, just today I sent an email out, right? Just today I sent an email out, and, like, I was telling you, I was promoting Charles Harper's thing, right? Well, Charles Harper had a list on his sales page of all the trainings that he was including in his retirement sale. And I said, this is a great list. I want to include this list in my email. But the problem was his list had abbreviations in it. So it had, like, the abbreviation for the course, and then it had the whole course name, right? Well, I didn't want those abbreviations, but I didn't want to go through 178 courses and, like, take all the abbreviations out if I didn't have to. So I thought, hey, this is a good use for AI. I'm gonna like copy and paste this list into AI and say, hey, take all these abbreviations out for me. And AI did, no problem. And it came back to me and said, here's the list. It was satisfying. This is what AI says to me, right? It was satisfying to take all the abbreviations out of this list. Here you go, or something like that, right? So I was like, brilliant. And I copied the list into my email, right? But I was moving too fast, and I copied that little snippet that it told me to, the part where it said, here's your list with all the abbreviations taken off of there. I copied that into my email too, and I fired it off, right? I guess it could be considered embarrassing. It could be considered embarrassing, right? It's like, oh man, I just told on myself that I used AI to, take the abbreviations out of this list, man. Now I look like a fool. You could look at it like that, but I've just been doing this for so long, I just don't look at it that way. I look at it like, "Oh, man, that's unfortunate that I did that." You know what? That's a good conversation piece for my next email. My next email, I will make that, like, mistake that I made the centerpiece, and I will still circle back around to promote the same thing, right? So, like, it's just another marketing angle. And also the cool thing about it is if someone sees that mistake in my email, they're going to respond back to me and say, "Hey, I caught your mistake, blah, 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 blah," you know? And that's good, right? Because that's that when like the ESPs, when they see that people are replying back to my email, they look at it like, "Oh, this guy's email doesn't belong in spam, man. People like this guy's email. We're not going to put that in promotions tab. We're going to put that in the inbox," right? So it sends good signals for me when people reply back to my emails. So anyways, again, I say all that just to say when you're in business, the emotions have to take a back seat. I'm not saying they're bad. I'm just saying they're bad for business, if that makes sense. That's my opinion, just based off of experience. Okay, so cool. What are we talking about today? Because I just spent like, I don't know how long I've been, like 5-10 minutes. I've been talking about this, and we haven't even gotten into our 5 things yet. Okay, here's what we're talking about. What do you do when nobody pays attention to your content? That's what we're talking about. And I got 5 things that you can do. The first thing, let's get into these, right? So, the first thing, number one, I call this the artist's plight. Because before I was a online business person, I spent many years of my my 20s and 30s. I spent playing music and trying to be a musician. I was a musician. I am a musician, but now I'm more of a hobbyist. But for a long time, man, that was my dream just to play music. And I played in a lot of bands, and I did a lot of recording. I've recorded a lot of like records and stuff. Now, don't get me wrong, I didn't make a lot of money. Okay, I did not make a lot of money. Every time I ever went to the studio, I paid for it myself, or my band paid to go to the studio and make that record. Okay, we never had a studio, pay for our records. In fact, the one time we had a studio, I was in one band where we had a label, a record label, looking at us, wanting to potentially sign us, and they were coming to watch us play that night. And my drummer was, what I found out later is I knew that night he was completely out of his like mind. Just like I found him in the bathroom of the bar on the toilet, just out of it, man, just out of it. And what I realized later was there was like drugs involved and stuff like that. But the point is that show got completely wrecked, man. We couldn't even play, and immediately they lost interest. Okay, so I'll just tell you, like, yeah, every time I ever went to the studio, like every time my band that I was in ever went to the studio, we always paid for that. So I spent many years in bands and recording and stuff like that, but I never really made tons of money. Um, so I say all that to talk about this artist's plight that I want to tell you about, because this is probably affecting a lot of you too. So, what is the artist's plight? Well, here's the artist's plight. All right, the artist creates something, right, and they feel like if it's good enough, they should be able to put it out there, and people will just start gravitating towards it and like start sharing it with other people, and it's going to be like amazing, right? And then what happens is when that doesn't happen, they start feeling discouraged. Like maybe my content's not good enough. Maybe this with an artist, with me, it was music, right? You start feeling like maybe my music's not good enough, must not be good enough. Nobody seems to care about it. Nobody comes to our shows, I never hear anybody talking about our stuff. So it must not be good enough. We must be doing something wrong. Then you start looking around, you start trying to copy other people, you start trying to change the way you're doing things all the time. That's the artist's plight. You think if you make something good enough, everyone's just going to share it automatically. Now, that applies directly to online business, okay? Because online business folks, we think the same thing many times. We put time and effort into our content, and we think when we put it out there for free, especially free content, We put it out there for free and we think, hey, people are going to share it. It's amazing, right? And when that doesn't happen, you start to feel very discouraged. But here's the thing. Every once in a while that happens, but it doesn't happen all the time. Very rarely does it happen. And also what you have to understand is it happens even less in this world of this online landscape of AI glutted content, right? There is a glut of AI content out there right now. And yes, it's different than your content. If you're making real human content, that AI content is different than your human content. True. But it doesn't matter because you still have to compete with it. It's still titled. It's still taking up space out there. It's still fighting with you for algorithmic attention, right? So you still have to deal with it. It doesn't matter if your content's better, like you still have to deal with it to break through to actually make a connection with the people you're trying to make a connection with. So you got to deal with it. So what that means is the artist's plight is alive and well, all right? There's even less of a chance now that if you put out good content, it's going to just be magically discovered by people. And people are so attention riddled right now. They're so like frazzled with so much content that what that means is they're not just going to automatically like watch your content and just like run off and find a place to share it with somebody else. Think about it. You've probably consumed some content today, right? Now you can go ahead and answer that question in the comment section if you like, but I bet you've consumed a few pieces of content today, probably more than just this video you're watching from me right now. Now, did you share any of that content? Did you like grab a link for that content and fire up an email and share it with a buddy? Probably not. You probably didn't. That's not your first instinct to just like share someone's content. You consume it or you consume part of it and you move on. Think about how you interact with content. Now, the people you want to consume your content, they are interacting with it the same way. So if you want to like get them to share your content with other people, if you want to use the audience to like spread your content a little bit, man, you need to install mechanisms in your content to make that happen, okay? Like you need to say, hey, listen, by the way, if you share this video with somebody else, send me a screen capture by email of you doing it, and like I will send you a free gift, right? That's just an example. That's a tongue-in-cheek example of installing a mechanism that would incentivize people to share your content. Very old school, very grassroots. Just send me a screen capture that you shared this with somebody and I'll send you a free gift by email. Just send it to me by email, camjenningspro@gmail.com, and I'll send you a free gift. You know, like that's a very old school way of doing it. You can go new school, right? You can have like software in place to make it happen, but you don't have to. You can just use simple email. But the point is, you know, the point is when you think about the way you interact with content, a lot of other people are interacting with content in that way too. And when you think about how you discovered the content you're interacting with, was it like from browsing? Did it just pop up in front of you, or did you seek that content out? A lot of times, initially, people are just like browsing and they see content. The only time people are seeking content out a lot of times is when they're either A, looking to solve a problem and they do a search, or B, they are gravitating towards specific creators of content, right? So your goal is to become one of those creators of content that they kind of gravitate towards, they check in on, right? How do you do that? You got to create impact with them, right? So anyways, the first thing that I'll tell you when it comes to, you know, getting people to not ignore you all the time and pay attention to your content is, you know, you can't fall victim to the artist's plight. And how do you do that? How do you not just publish it out there and hope? Well, put a distribution system in place for your content. I know that sounds crazy, right? It's free content. The free content is meant to attract people, to pull them in so they join your email list and buy your paid content. The free content is the distribution. This is part of the distribution. No, it's not part of the distribution. Yes, you're putting the free content out there to be the top of your funnel. I respect it. That makes sense. But you got to understand, it's a busy landscape out there. Your free content that you're putting out there to be the top of your funnel also needs a distribution plan in place. All right. So like take this live stream you're watching. It doesn't just go on Substack, okay? What happens is I do this live stream on Substack, right, for you guys live. And I tell people, hey, if you like these live streams, subscribe to my Substack, all right? Because I do these 5 days a week on Substack, right? Yes, I do that. But when this is over, you guys, you know what else I do? I download this video and then I put it on YouTube and I put it on Facebook, distribution. Now, if I wanted to, I don't do this right now, and I'll tell you why. I kind of hate shorts, but if I wanted to, I could download every one of those little AI created shorts that Substack creates for me. I could download all of them if they made sense, and I could put those on YouTube, and I could put those on Instagram if I wanted to, and I could push my distribution even further out for this content if I wanted to, right? So anyways, the point is that I'm trying to make here is very general. And the point is have some kind of distribution plan for your content. And it doesn't even have to be off platform. If you're putting content on like Substack, for example, okay, cool. Can you find 5 conversations on Substack where it makes sense to share a link to what you talked about in your content, right? Can you find 5 places, 5 conversations that are happening on Substack a day, right? Let's say you're putting out a daily video or you're putting out a daily article, or maybe you're just putting out 1 article a week. Hey, I'm doing 1 article a week on Substack and I'm doing like 5 notes a day on Substack. Okay, cool. What is your distribution strategy for your 1 article a day or your 1 article a week? I mean, what if you were doing 1 article a week on Substack? Okay. And then what if every single day, part of your distribution plan was to find just 1 conversation that was happening where it made sense for you to talk about the article that you wrote, right? It made sense in the context of that conversation. And every day that was part of your mission, right? Now, what is that? That's distribution. Okay. That is a distribution plan. Like you are spreading the word about your free content, right? Now, by doing this, what's going to happen is you're not like falling victim to the artist's plight. And what you're doing is you're taking matters into your own hands and you're not just publishing and waiting, right? You're taking matters into your own hands, and this will help you get a little bit more attention. All right. What else? All right. Number 2, if you want a friend, be a friend. Okay. I reached out to several people just today that I've connected with over the last few months, and I asked them how they were doing and what's been going on in their businesses, right? I've connected with several people just today. A couple days ago, I did an interview for someone who reached out to me and told me they were trying to make some things happen and they were having trouble, right? With their stuff, with their business. They were hitting a wall. And I told them, I said, hey, I'll tell you what, man, I personally think it's really cool what you're doing. I would love to interview you about it, right? And they really appreciated that. And they said, yeah, let's do it. That would be amazing, right? So that's what we did. We lined up an interview. I interviewed them. They're going to bundle that interview up and turn it into a course, right? And I told them, reach out to me when you release this thing. I'll help you promote it, right? And what is that? That's me doing exactly what I'm telling you to do. If you want a friend, be a friend. You don't like people ignoring you, then make sure you're not ignoring other people. Make sure that, when you're like kind of like being a part of the scene on these platforms, that you're actually reaching out to other people, taking an interest in what they have going on, right? This comes back to what Carnegie said and how to win friends and influence people, right? He said, I can make more friends in 2 months taking an interest in other people than I can in 2 years trying to get them to take an interest in me. And I've said that a bunch of times, but I mean, look, it holds true. All right. It holds true. And the thing is, it's very easy to be selfish. You're on the internet for a specific reason. You're trying to make things happen for your business. It's very easy to fall into this kind of feeling like, hey, I just got to focus on my business. I got to focus on my stuff, right? But what happens is, man, it's hard to be an island. And the thing is, you'll grow much faster if you have other people singing your praises. All right. Other people that are not you talking about your business. It'll make you grow faster. How do you get other people who are not you to talk about your business? What I have found to be the easiest way is to talk about other people, right? Put them on a pedestal. Talk to them. If you want a friend, be a friend. It's as simple as that, right? And that has served me very well over the years. So keep it in mind. All right. Number 3. All right. I always use these 3 fingers when I say 3 because for some reason it's hard for me to do this. My pinky keeps on wanting to pop up for some reason. In fact, one time I tried to do like this in a video and someone put in the comment section, "Why should I listen to you? You can't even put up 3 fingers when you're saying 3. You got 4 fingers up. You can't count, bro." So I started going like this so I could do it like it's clear, you know? Anyways, what is number 3? Um, Number 3 is very simple. Adopt a time to make the donuts mentally. All right. Now, what do I mean by adopt a time to make the donuts mentality? I said it wrong. Mentality. Adopt a time to. All right. Look, let me say this again. All right. I should have put quotes around this. See, I got a little, I wrote these down before I did this live stream and I'm trying to, read them as I'm doing it. But, what did I write down? Adopt a time to make the donuts mentality. That's what I wrote down. What did I mean by that? What I meant was that there was this commercial, right? It's a long time ago, like way back in the 80s. There was this commercial. It was a Dunkin' Donuts commercial. And it was like every morning there would be this guy and he'd say, "Time to make the donuts." You guys can find this "Time to Make the Donuts" commercial on YouTube, okay? You can find it out there. But the point is, this dude was going to work every single day. He was going to work. Time to make the donuts, right? He was just doing his job. So I think like in this world where you feel like people are ignoring your content and you're not getting any attention and you're getting frustrated and stuff like that, you really want to kind of adopt this time to make the donuts mentality. And what I mean by that is like it's a job. You got to treat it like a job. Jobs are not always fun. Okay. And what that means is you just get up every day and you make it happen. Right. And it's a grind sometimes. You grind it out. It doesn't mean you shouldn't have enthusiasm. It doesn't mean you should be all like, boring. Okay. It's better to try to have fun with your job. Okay. But at the same time, it's part of your job. Now, look, think about it, guys. I'm doing this live stream with you guys right now. All right. It's 6:07 p.m. Now, my work day, personally, I like it to end at 4 p.m. 4 p.m., I like it to be over. Yeah, after 4 p.m., I want to hang out with my family and do stuff around the house and stuff. I don't want to think about epic conversions anymore after 4 p.m. I just want to just chill out and I'll come back to work tomorrow. That's what I like to do. But also, I do these live streams for you guys 5 days a week. And if I don't have time to fit the live stream into my day, then I try to fit it in when I can fit it in. And tonight that happens to be at 6:08 p.m. Guess what? I don't feel like doing a live stream tonight. I didn't want to do a live stream. I wanted to shut everything down and just watch some TV and, hang out with my family. I didn't feel like doing this. But man, look, time to make the donuts. You know what I'm saying? Time to make the donuts. So you got to kind of adopt this mentality too, even when you're feeling frustrated that people aren't watching your content. You got to adopt this time to make the donuts mentality. Why? Why should I adopt a time to make the donuts mentality if no one's even watching my content anyway, Cam? Who cares? I'll tell you why. Because your content is creating an infrastructure for you, okay? Your content is building something. Whether people are watching it right now or not, eventually people will be watching it. Eventually, people will circle back around to your content. It only takes one video or one article or, one podcast or one snippet, one note, whatever, for you to pop up on people's radar. And now all of a sudden, they're kind of digging through your content and seeing what you're all about. But if there's nothing there, then they're not going to see what you're all about. And if they start looking through your stuff and they see that you haven't posted anything for 6 months, they're not going to be into that. They're just going to be like, this dude's not even posting anything. I'm moving on. But if they notice something from you and then they dig into what you got going on and they see you're doing regular content, you're posting regularly, there's a very good chance they're going to follow you. They're going to subscribe to you. They're going to sign up for your email list, whatever. They're going to be on board, man. You know why? Because people are attracted to momentum. All right. People are attracted to action. Right. And when you get discouraged and you say, I give up, man, I give up, dude. No one's paying attention to what I'm doing anyway. Just forget it. I'm going to take a week off. I'm going to take 2 weeks off. It's not working out for me. It's not working out. When you do that, every time you do that, you stop momentum dead in its tracks. Momentum stops dead in its tracks. Now, I can tell you very clearly, people are attracted to action. People are attracted to the movers, the shakers. When they think something's going on, when it seems like someone has something going on, they're attracted to them. They're captivated by what they have going on. This is just the universal law of the jungle, right? So what I'm telling you is, you got to keep things going on. You got to keep things going on even when you're frustrated. And that kind of comes back to what I said earlier about taking emotions out of the equation. Emotions, I'm not saying, people say I try to villainize emotions. I don't try to villainize emotions, okay? I think emotions are fine. That's part of being a human being. Emotions just don't belong in business. That's what I'm saying. In my opinion, emotions do not belong in business. That's all I'm saying. So number 3 is adopt a time to make the donuts mentality, right? You're building infrastructure. Even if no one's looking at it right now, eventually they will be looking at it. And by the way, every piece of content that you create is an asset. It can be repositioned in multiple ways. All right. Just like several months ago, like I'll give you an example. Every single email I write, I save. I save it because I know it's an asset. Every single email I write, I save. I save it because I know it's an asset. Yes, I just said that twice. I just said it twice because it's important that you remember it. Every piece of content that I create is an asset. So the emails, just like last year, I mean, I have at this point, probably thousands of emails that I've saved. Just last year, I can't remember what month last year, but I put out a product. It was called 365 Profit Mailers, right? This is a very successful product for me. What was it? I handpicked 365 emails that I personally had sent out, that I personally had made money on, and I gave people a license to use those emails, adapt those emails to their own businesses, use them in whichever way they wanted for their own business. The only stipulation I put on those emails, you can't sell these. You can't offer PLR license on these, but you can use them however you want. You can adapt them. You can use AI to kind of spin them to your own purposes. And that's totally fine. And I sold that package of emails to people last year. Very, very good. People really like that product. But the point is, and this is what you need to understand, those emails already made me money. All those 365 emails, they had already been deployed to my email list and had promoted other products and had made me money, right? So now what are they doing? Now they're being repositioned as something different and they're making me more money, right? Every single piece of content that you create, whether it's a note on Substack, whether it's a blog article on Substack, or whether it's an audio podcast or a video or whatever, all those things are assets. All those things can be repositioned in multiple ways, and you can do whatever you want with them. Once the asset's created, it can be repurposed and repositioned. It's part of your infrastructure, okay? Just, at the beginning of this year, I went infrastructure zero, okay? And that's just the term I made up. I'm riffing off of the inbox zero term, where people talk about, having no emails in their inbox, just zero emails, no emails in their inbox. Well, I went infrastructure zero. I closed down all my membership clubs. I had 3 active membership clubs. I had over 70 products on the market. I closed all that stuff down. I canceled all my recurring memberships. It was hard. I'm not going to sit here and tell you. That's a story for another day. It was hard. But it's what I needed to do, man. It's what I needed to do. I wanted to reset my whole product suite, right? I wanted to reset everything. Now, listen, all that stuff I shut down, all those 70 products, those 3 memberships, all the assets I created, I still have them. Some of those things got repositioned as bonuses for my new membership club, which, by the way, my new membership club is called Epic Conversions Monthly. It is available right now. If you like the things I'm talking about, you probably should check out Epic Conversions Monthly. You want to know how to find it? Very simple. Just go to epicconversions.com, scroll down, you'll see a link to Epic Conversions Monthly. That'll take you there. Got a crazy bonus stack when you sign up for Epic Conversions Monthly. But anyways, the point is a lot of those assets that I created were repositioned. And you can do the same thing. So like if you're out there right now and you get discouraged about like creating content because you feel like no one's watching it or no one's paying attention to it, remember, time to make the donuts, okay? You're building infrastructure, okay? Eventually, people are going to start paying attention to you. And on top of that, you can repurpose all that content and use it for something else, okay? I've done it a bunch of times. I could tell you a bunch of stories about doing that exact thing, all right? And you can do it too. I'm not some kind of rocket scientist. I'm just a good old boy from Ohio, okay? There's nothing crazy special about me. Maybe I have a little ambition, but if you got a little ambition and you're willing to try some things, you can do the same stuff I'm doing, okay? There's nothing special about me. In fact, I'll tell you how unspecial I am. All right. I've had this happen to me multiple times. You know, people have said I was stupid before. People think I'm stupid because of my accent. Yeah, people think I'm dumb because of my accent. People think I don't know what I'm talking about because of how I dress. I wear cut off sleeve t-shirts and ball caps. I don't shave my face. I have an accent and people think I'm dumb. They think I'm a dumb hillbilly, right? And that's what they think. Now, I've been able to use that in my favor over the years, by flipping it. And the way I do it is I just simply tell people, "Hey, look, I've never been accused of being the sharpest tool in the shed. Okay, I've never been accused of being the brightest star in the sky. All right, so if it can work for me, it can probably work for you." I just tell people, "Hey, look, I understand." Now, do I really think I'm a stupid person? No, I don't think I'm a stupid person. I'm pretty well read. I mean, I try to read and, yeah, I don't think I'm the sharpest tool in the shed. I don't think I'm the brightest star in the sky, but I think I'm of average intelligence. I don't think I'm a complete moron, but because I have an accent, because I have this kind of Southern accent, and because of the way I dress, people tend to think that about me. And I just use it to my advantage, man. So again, I don't know how I got off on that, but what I'm trying to say is build infrastructure. Okay, the infrastructure is valuable to you. It can be repositioned. Once you create content, it has value to you. It is truly an asset. I mean, I'm so hardcore about this. I even think options are assets. Okay, I believe that like when I create a piece of content, I have also like simultaneously created options for other content surrounding that content. Okay. I won't go into that. That's a story for another day, but that's how I believe. And I believe those options are actually assets for my business, right? They're like these intangible assets for my business. And there's this whole thing surrounding that involving, time and, energy and resource management and just kind of like, whatever. I'm not going to go into that, but yes, build infrastructure, adopt a time to make the donuts mentality. Okay. Sometimes you just got to suck it up and go. It doesn't matter if nobody's listening because you're building for the future. You're not just building for right now. You're building for tomorrow and next week. And you're building for the day when one of your videos or one of your articles, boom, catches on to somebody who has some influence and they share it with a bunch of their audience. And now, boom, all of a sudden you've taken off. And now all of a sudden you got an audience. People are paying attention, right? That's what you're building for. All right. So it doesn't matter if like no one is necessarily watching right now. There's always an upside. All right. And that's why it's important for you to take the emotions out of your business and be the realist. Think about the pros, think about the cons. Everything has pros and cons. There's always a con and there's always a pro. But there's always a pro. You know what I mean? There's always a pro. So anyways, that's what I say. That's number 3. Let's go to number 4. What's number 4? Be polarizing. Okay. Be polarizing. Browse versus search. All right. Think about in terms of YouTube, browse versus search, right? I used to do really good on YouTube because I just focused on search all the time, right? I wanted to start a new YouTube channel. I kid you not. Back when I started that NutriBullet Time YouTube channel, all I did was like, okay, I need about 20 videos to see if this is actually doable, like to see if it makes sense. Can I come up with 20 videos? I just looked up PAA, right? People also ask. I went to Google search and I just looked at all the questions people were asking about the NutriBullet. And every one of those questions became another video for me. And I easily put together 20, 30, 40 videos just full of PAA, right? And all that is basically things that people are actually searching for. And I made a video with that exact search term, right? And I answered the search term. Oh, can the NutriBullet crush ice? Oh, let's find out. The video is called "Can the NutriBullet Crush Ice?" And here I am on the video trying to crush ice in the NutriBullet. And like I would just make a bunch of videos like that addressing search. That was fine in like 2015, 2016. But we live in a different world now. We live in the internet landscape is different now. It's flooded with AI content. It's flooded with shorts content. And YouTube is not, I just don't personally, I don't feel YouTube is pushing that search content as much. What I feel like it's more impactful now is browse content. What is browse content? Well, that's the kind of content where like someone's not searching for, can the NutriBullet crush ice, right? They're not searching for anything. They're just going to YouTube and their homepage has a bunch of recommended stuff on it. And they're going to see a video like, I can't believe what happened to my NutriBullet today. And it's got this really crazy thumbnail on it. It's almost like a clickbait thing. You know what I mean? That's browse. That's browse. If people just see it and recommended, or they just see it like there and they're just browsing through YouTube and they, oh, wow, that looks interesting. And they click on it. That's browse, right? So what I'm saying is browse style content, I feel like is more impactful right now on YouTube, right? So the other thing I would say is I don't think that's just YouTube. Okay. So I think personally that browse style content is more effective everywhere right now than search style content. That's what I believe. So what that means is when you're titling your content and when you're thinking about the kind of content you want to create, like to me, I think it's more effective if you feel like you're being ignored. If you feel like no one's paying attention to you, it's more effective to focus on browse style content that would grab someone's attention, even if they don't know who you are, even if they didn't ask the question of like what you're talking about in that, what you wanted to talk about in that video. It's not about like, oh, let me solve a problem for people. It's not about that. It's like, what would be very interesting to people to click on and consume, right? It's more about discovering through browse, right? And I think it's that kind of like shorts mentality. I hate shorts, but if you think about what shorts is, man, people are just at the trough, man, like a bunch of pigs at the trough, just like watching a video, scrolling up, watching a video, scrolling up. They're not searching for anything, right? They're just browsing through the videos. So their mind is trained to just take in whatever is being offered, right? That's not having anything to do with search. So in my take right now, and I could show you like numbers about what I have found personally, but I just think that right now, like it's good to focus on browse style content. And, I don't think it's ever bad to try to be polarizing in your content. So talk about things when you think about the content you're putting out and you think about like, why is everyone ignoring my content? Well, the content you're putting out, don't ask yourself if it's helpful. Ask yourself if it's captivating, if it's polarizing, right? Is it going to grab someone's curiosity and wonder what you're talking about, right? That is the kind of content, in my view, that's going to make someone like click on your stuff and kind of stand out. You're kind of going for this kind of clickbait type content, but it's not clickbait because you want to deliver on what you're saying. I hate that term clickbait because it kind of insinuates that like you're not going to deliver on what you're saying you're going to deliver on. That's not what I mean. It's a captivating title. What you're talking about in the headline is captivating, but you're actually going to deliver on what you're talking about. So that's why I say it's polarizing content, and I think you should focus on that. That's 4, right? And then 5, experiment with styles and titles. Number 5, experiment with styles of content and titles, okay? Experiment. Don't just, don't just, you know, like, find your formula, and I know I talked about time to make the donuts and kinda get into a grind. Yes, it's time to make the donuts, get into a grind. But part of your grind needs to be kind of like moving in different directions and styles with your content. You can't just keep doing the same thing every single time. Because what's going to happen if you do that is people are going to tune out. They know what it is, they get sick of it, they tune out, they move on. So you got to kind of like find ways to kind of like reinvent yourself. You know what I mean? Now, I was just talking about being polarizing and I was talking about experimenting with styles and titles. A good example of this is like last night, my family and I, we just watched this movie, Reservoir Dogs. It was family movie night, okay? And I picked Reservoir Dogs for family movie night. Now listen, I don't have young kids, okay? I got like older teenagers, okay? So like it's appropriate for their age or whatever. So but anyways, it's their first Quentin Tarantino movie, right? So anyways, Reservoir Dogs, and I bring it up because Reservoir Dogs is polarizing, and Reservoir Dogs experiment. Look, just look at the title alone, Reservoir Dogs. I watched Quentin Tarantino give this interview about what Reservoir Dogs means. People were asking, "What does this title mean?" And he said, "This is just a mood title." Translation: It doesn't really mean anything. It's a mood title. It's just supposed to sound cool, right? And he doesn't know what it means, but when he looks at those guys in Reservoir Dogs, they are the Reservoir Dogs, right? Now, I guarantee you, anybody who listened to him give that interview and say that already had something in their mind about what they thought Reservoir Dogs meant. Now, when he was trying to get secure funds for the movie, of course, investors asked him what Reservoir Dogs meant, and he could not say the truth, which is what he just said in that interview. It was a mood title. It doesn't really mean anything. It was just supposed to invoke a mood, you know? He couldn't tell him that. So he like invented this story and he said, "Oh, this is like an obscure French mafia term. It basically means rat. Like it's a snitch. It's like an obscure French, organized crime kind of slang term that means snitch or whatever, Reservoir Dogs." And, of course, the investor was like, "Oh, that's awesome. That's really cool." And that worked, right? But him just saying, "Oh, it's just a mood title. It doesn't mean anything." That wouldn't have worked, right? So, but the point is, he's experimenting, right? The title is weird. Reservoir Dogs doesn't necessarily mean anything, but at the same time, it's captivating. It makes people wonder what that means. What is it about? Um, and we look at Reservoir Dogs, and I was telling you guys to be polarizing. You think about Reservoir Dogs as a movie. Think about it for a second. Reservoir Dogs, all right? It is a movie about a bank robbery, but you don't see the bank robbery. There's not a lot of heist movies. There's not a lot of heist movies where the heist is not in the movie. You got like before the heist, and then you got after the heist, and you got no like during the heist. You don't get to see the heist in Reservoir Dogs. The movie is built around the heist, right? Now that is polarizing. That is very outside the box. And it pulls people in, right? So Quentin Tarantino pulls people in with these concepts. And, like there was a part in Reservoir Dogs where like the undercover agent, like he's trying to rehearse this story. He needs to rehearse this story so that like when he gets around the gangsters, like he can sound believable, like they will believe him and they won't think he's an undercover cop or something, right? And he's and it's showing him rehearse this story, and he's rehearsing it in his room at first, right? And he's rehearsing the story, and then boom, it cuts to him rehearsing it like in this park with his cop buddy, right? And he's just continuing to rehearse the story, and then boom, it switches to him like telling the story in front of the criminals, right? Really, really telling the story in front of the criminals, and then boom, it puts him in the story, enacting the story. He's sitting here telling the story while he's in the bathroom in the story, talking about what's happening. It's a really interesting approach for that particular scene. You know what I mean? It's a very interesting way that he did that, but it's polarizing because it's different than what else was happening when Reservoir Dogs came out. It's just different. It was done in a different style. And like that is what you want to do, man. You want to be polarizing. You want to try to find different ways to do things, right? And in this way, you stand out. You create impact with your target market, right? I'm not telling you you have to be a movie director here, okay, or anything like that. And this applies to way more than just video. It applies to content in general. But the point is, you have to find a way to be polarizing, and a lot of times to get there, you experiment with things. So, anyways, I guess that's it. I guess that's all 5 of them. If you like this content, make sure you subscribe to me right here on Substack. I do these 5 days a week. I'll be back tomorrow with another one. And, if you want to hear more from me, be sure to sign up for my email list. Just get over to epicconversions.com and I'll see you in the inbox. That's all I got, guys. And I hope you're doing amazing out there. Drop me a like, share this video with someone you think it might help. Peace now. Be good out there, and I'll see you tomorrow.